Well, good morning, everybody. It's starting out to be a beautiful day here in New Mexico. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and already the breeze is picking up. So that should tell you how quickly the sun is warming up the surface and drying things out. When it comes to flintlocks, I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and I've been recently inspired by the channel Traditional Muzzleloader. Content creator's name is Steve. He himself is also here in New Mexico. And I know that I've run into him from time to time at rendezvous here in New Mexico, but I do not know this gentleman personally. And I hope maybe if he's at the Santa Fe Trail Rendezvous this year, I will get to know him better. But two videos that I watched from him recently is Putting the Flint in Flintlock, and the other one is the Kentucky Rifle. Now, in both of those videos, he talks about flintlocks and how to achieve consistent ignition, and you know, subtleties like that. And this is stuff that us flintlock shooters will learn over time, such as, well, does my flintlock want 1 grain of powder? Does it want 2 grains of powder? You know, is it best to keep the charge favoring the touch hole or further away so that the flash will jump into the touch hole? Things like that. And before I go any further, just kind of let you know, this is a Tennessee Valley Manufacturing Southern Poor Boy. I actually built this rifle in 1999. It's got a Green Mountain barrel on it. At the time, in history, the Green Mountain barrel is what everybody wanted, so that's what I elected, and I've been pleased with it. I've been extremely pleased with this particular barrel. It has a Siler lock on it, and I've had to do some things over the years. I actually had to reface and put a shoe on the frizzen because I wore out the factory frizzen because I've shot it so much. But what's prompted me in doing this video as it relates to consistent ignition is because what I've learned over the years taking this in the field deer and elk hunting. And early on, what my issue was is when I put the 1 grain of powder into the pan, close the frizzen, you think you're ready to go. And when you're walking in the field, you know, you're always moving your gun around, moving it from hand to hand and everything else. And what I noticed early on is that 1 grain of powder would move from one end of the pan to the other. And when the powder favors the touch hole, you have what you call hang fire. Well, in a hunting situation, you don't want hang fire. You want the gun to be able to go off almost instantaneously. And if the powder's favoring the far end of the pan, then your powder may go off without jumping into the touch hole, which the gun's not going to go off. And for me, what I would do from time to time in the field is I would open up the frizzen and voila, my powder's gone because the frizzen is not sitting perfectly flat where the pan is. So as I'm moving the rifle, a little bit of that 4F is falling between whatever little gap is on the bottom of the frizzen and the top of the pan. So how did I resolve that and be able to allow extremely consistent ignition? Well, this is what I did. I put some wax paper on top of the pan. I put a fair amount of JB Weld on the bottom of the frizzen and closed it and let it set up. Once that was done, I was able to remove the wax paper, and the JB Weld contoured itself to the pan. Then what I did is I put 1 grain of powder across the entire pan. And for me, that's what I want to do, because if for some reason the spark falls on the furthest end of the pan, it's still going to catch and ignite the rifle. And if the spark falls close to the touch hole, it's going to accomplish the same thing. But what I discovered, obviously, right away is that when I put my 1 grain of powder in it and closed the frizzen, it was actually compacting the 4F. In my opinion, you don't want that. So what I did is I just started slowly sanding the bottom of the dimple that has formed itself to the pan. Took a few strokes with sandpaper, then closed it again, making sure that it closed properly here, and made sure that it's not compacting my 4F. And it took a little bit of time because I wanted to get it just precise. So now, once I got it precise, I also took a file, and let me turn the rifle around, and I also filed, I don't know if you can see it as well, but right here up against the touch hole where the frizzen would close, I actually filed a little bit of a V-notch, just as it would be sitting against the touch hole. And I don't know if you can see that or not, and I'm hoping you will. So doing this now has corrected the issue of being in the field with the frizzen closed, moving it around, because I can open it up, and because I've made this dimple the contour of the flash pan, I sanded it back just enough so that when the frizzen's closed, it just barely sets on top of the 4F. So I wiggle the gun, open the frizzen, and the powder is exactly where I placed it. And for me, that has given me extremely consistent ignition, particularly in the field. When you're at a rendezvous, it's not so much as of an issue because you're not allowed to charge your pan, or if you're shooting a percussion, put a cap on your rifle until you're on the firing line. So it's not an issue, because when you're up to the firing line, you charge your pan, close the frizzen, and you're keeping the rifle level. But when you're in the field, deer hunting, you're always moving your flintlock and rifle around. So that's something that you might want to put in your memory bank. I just decided to do this one day because I wanted to stop the powder from moving in the pan as I'm walking in the field, and that seemed to me to be the best and only way, was to put JB weld on it and let it set up, and then sand the JB weld around until I got that the perfect placement of the powder. And even to this day, it doesn't, the powder still does not move around. In fact, let me just demonstrate. And I only use 1 grain of powder, and I set it across the pan. And kind of level it off, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it without me pouring it on the ground. I'll close the frizzen, shake it around, do everything, open it up, and the powder's pretty much right there. And I have consistent ignition with it. So, I hope you all can glean something from this, and in particular, when you're deer hunting or elk hunting or any other type of hunting with it, you'll want that powder to remain in place as you move your rifle around. So thanks for watching, and everybody have a great day. As quick as the grass and the weeds are growing, the next couple of days I'm going to be mowing. So don't forget to give this a thumbs up and a like, and don't forget to share it with your bestest of buddies, especially if that bestest of buddy is also a flintlock shooter. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.